All right. good morning, as we
Good
say.
morning. Good morning.
So we're Rochelle and we've had some long days and weeks here. So we're both looking forward to sort of having a fairly chill but serious conversation. We're gonna kick off. We're gonna have a Instagram cut in around 5 minutes, but we'll do an intro. But I want to start with an icebreaker and something that I was going to continue for a while. So I want to do what you reading and what you drinking. And I'd like to remove this whole thing. It's like a drink has to be alcohol. It does not. So Rochelle, what do you like to drink this week? What's your refreshment? Could be water. And what are you reading?
My refreshment has been coffee and alcohol.
Okay. Hey,
I have
at the
had
same time.
no
That
coffee during the
Frangelica,
day.
I don't drink anymore, but that coffee of Frangelica was something different.
No, I usually do caffeine. So I cut caffeine out, but I add it back because I'm just so much on the go now. And I'm trying to so this week I haven't had that much caffeine. I will say that, right? Maybe like 1 cup a day.
Okay.
When usually it'd be like 2 or 3 cups a day. So I'm doing good on my habit. Um, and then I probably have like a glass of wine on Tuesday and Thursdays because those are
That's
my big.
reasonable.
That's it.
I respect people that can have one glass of wine. That was never, I'd look at tables, go out to dinner and I look at tables and people just get up and leave half a glass of wine sitting there for the wait staff to dump down the drain. And we were like, that's alcohol abuse.
Yeah, just to like kind of relax me.
I get
I
it.
mean, people have whatever. While I'm sitting in the bed trying to like decompress, I have a glass and try to read a little bit before I fall asleep.
It's nice. Everybody has their routine. So what are you reading?
I'm reading. I will tell you. So I'm reading this book called Marriage Be Hard. It is by a comedian actually. His name is Kevin. Kevin on Stage. I'm not sure if you heard of him. But he talks about marriage and it has like a comic twist to it.
Of
And
course.
it's very good. And I'm reading this book called Speak Your Way to Cash by Ashley. What's her name? Ashley Kirkwood. Because that is my kind of like my self-help book, becoming a better speaker. So yeah.
Well, and here we are on episode 9. We're almost to
Woo!
10. Well, that's great. Rochelle, something I've learned about you in the roughly a little over a year that I've met you, or since I met you, is you're always looking at ways to change how you do things. And I won't even say change yourself. It's just change how you do things. I think that's an important distinction for people, especially, we've talked about this before. There's about 20 years-ish between you and me. Um,
Is it?
but
Who's
I'm
keeping
50.
count?
I don't know. I'm about to be 54. But it just means that, I see an extreme amount of maturity in the way you carry yourself, the way you're open about changing yourself, or changing how you do things. So that's how we're going to talk about it. And I respect that about you. And the reason I'm drawn to you is because you're open to that. And I love coaching people. I love mentoring people. And I always ask Rochelle, like, well, what do you want me to do with that information? Am I the friend? Am I the mentor? Am I the podcast host? Um, and that's something I hope I'm teaching her about boundaries, and respecting her boundaries, even though she may not be aware of what they are yet. So I really love that about Rochelle. And she'll be reading white people, black people, half and half people. I mean, Rochelle will read it all. Like when she throws out a title to me, I'm looking up I'm like, dang, Rochelle is out there. Like she has herself out there. Let me tell you.
Yeah,
All
because you
right.
was like, what do you know about what was it the other day we was talking about? I was like, yeah, I watched all the movies.
The Harry
Um,
Potter.
Harry Potter. No, but it wasn't Harry Potter. Oh, my
Game of
daughter,
Thrones.
was it Game of Thrones? It
It
was
was
one of,
all
and you was
that.
like so surprised. You was like, what?
Harry
I'm like,
Potter.
yeah. Oh, I love some Harry Potter. I used to dress up and go to the movies. When they had like the midnight showings back in the day, me and my friends who was in college, we used to dress up for the midnight showing, and it would be amazing. I don't know if people still do that nowadays, but yeah.
They do. We still have nerds. They still exist. I drink coffee and water for the most part. I have more than 2 or 3 cups a day. I make an eight
Of
pot.
coffee?
Yeah, I make an 8 cup pot in the morning when I get up, and I usually finish it between 6 and 8, but that's like most of the morning. And then I have a cup of water that I sit in the refrigerator, just like glass and a straw, and it's cute. And so whenever I open the refrigerator, I take a drink of that. I have water by my bed, and then I love fountain Coke Zero and Diet Coke. I mean, like I love to go up to the Murphy USA gas station and get my extra large 99 cent. It's just, something I do. Um,
Mhm.
and I also have a new affinity. Something that was popular in England was lots of options for no alcohol beer. And Athletic Brewing Company has one they call Brewfest, and it's like an Oktoberfest beer.
Mhm.
It's like less than 0.5. It's like zero point 0.4 or zero point 0.3, whatever. Uh, but I like I mean, it's kind of expensive. It's like 10.99 for a 6 pack, but it's alcohol free. So it's not like you're trying to get a 6 pack buzz. You just want it's like your glass of wine at night. So I sit out on my patio, with the butterflies and ladybugs and my frogs and have one of those little brew fests and a frosty mug. And, I feel included in life. Let's put it that way. So we're going to make a cut here for Instagram, and hopefully we can grab you over. We're working on the RSS feed for the Apple Podcasts, and so we're patiently hoping that if you're listening, that you start to engage more, and hopefully we'll get some material up on TikTok as well as the Apple Podcast feed as we mature and grow towards 30 listeners followers on Instagram. But I think we have a lot more listeners out there than we think. So let me make this quick cut for Instagram. We hope to see those folks over there, and then Rochelle, I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. I was kind of chuckling during for some reason I had this random thought, and I wanted to share I wanted to share the story, and I forgot when Rochelle and I were going through the intro and the outro, I forgot about this story. So Rochelle, do you mind if I sway from the topic for a minute and share this story?
Sure.
Okay, so last week, last weekend, my boyfriend, yes, ma'am.
Pause, pause, pause. I got
Okay, here we are. We're back. Oops. Um, so we're talking today about, something that Rochelle and I've talked about recently is sort of like credibility, right? And then I expounded on that by saying, is someone who sort of hides behind truths or maybe hides behind lies, how does that weave into credibility? How do we deal with it? And to help us get started, I kind of have 3 issues because I think they're 3 distinctly different. But when they happen to us or we experience them, we experience them, potentially differently as well. So that we want to be able to flag them down, know what the difference between them is, and then know how to deal with it. And we're a little bit short on time, so we're just going to kind of go through these. Um, Hello again, Rochelle. So,
Pause.
Rochelle, I have workplace examples and I have relationship examples. Which
Let's
ones?
hear let's
Hmm?
hear workplace first and then relationships because I think they tie hand in hand.
Yeah. Yeah, because a relationship's a relationship, right?
Mhm.
So, in terms of credibility, Um, let's say as a project manager, Rochelle's a project manager, and I work with project managers. Your project is running 2 weeks behind. The client asks for a progress update in a standing meeting. You say, we're on track because you plan to make up the time, even though you haven't yet solved the blocker. That, where does that lie? Is that a credibility issue? Is that a lying by omission? Uh, or is that sort of cowardice?
It's a lie. For one, I would never say that. One, why did you give this example? I would never.
I
What
didn't
would you
chat
do?
GPT.
What would you do?
So, I I would say that the real test isn't what you say in the meeting. It's the test is like, what are you afraid to admit in the meetings?
Hmm.
So that was the credibility issue. You sound polished, but when the delay hits, your team stops believing in what you're forecasting. And then your reputation potentially has a hit for accuracy.
Hmm.
But then you can unpack that even further and say, well, were you given accurate information to begin with? But you said we're on track. That is a lie, which is therefore credibility. That was a flat lie. The if you told the client everything's progressing, but you leave out that a critical dependency failed in testing, that's a lie by omission. You let them assume that there was success while hiding a problem that you knew they'd probably want to know about. I've seen this happen too. And when I say you, Rochelle doesn't do this. I'm just playing devil's advocate. Uh, and then there's just not saying anything at all. So being a coward, basically, you should speak up about the delay, but you don't. And you say, I'll deal with it the next meeting.
Hmm.
And the silence buys you temporary comfort, but your integrity is at risk. And I saw this a lot at Toyota. I saw
Mm.
this a lot, at some of the larger clients I had where you're sitting, not particularly Toyota. I'm just saying, just in terms of size. I'm not calling them out per se, but in a larger corporations, you have these, 8 or 10, work streams, and then on those different work streams, you have the same team structure as a lot of people, and you're 300 people on a call at one time. You're going to have some of all three of these. I've seen some of all three of these. Um, so what do we say instead? One, as the person who's presenting, how do we keep our credibility and our transparency? It's all about transparency, and it's it's like it says, it's looking at what's keeping us from being transparent, not we're not transparent people, because I see both. So how do you feel about that? Like, how would you, if you're late on something, these are all things that we've all said. I don't think we've ever left it at that. So in this workplace scenario, how do you give an update that isn't the update that wasn't? We've all heard that, like, that was an update.
Hmm.
So how do you, you're running 2 weeks behind. What do you say? What's the proper thing to say to keep your reputation, integrity intact, and be transparent?
So I had a awesome mentor, wonderful boss, um, when I was working in corporate, and his name is Charles Pierce. Wonderful man, very brilliant, very smart. And he always would coach us and say, if your projects are doing well, why are they doing well? If I'm saying, yeah, everything, okay, why? He always asks the why behind it. Like you'll think like why somebody asking the why behind something that's already doing good. Like it's doing good, it's on track. Like why you need to know why? Just know why. And so he taught me the importance of why. And he also taught me the importance of if a project is not on track, then what happened and how to actually dig for those details and to tell the sponsor like, hey, this is what happened. And so that really it really shaped me as a project manager. So I would basically just, like you said, transparency. I would not lie. Like if I know I cannot deliver this by Friday, by the end of the week, I'm gonna say, hey, our developer's out on vacation. I cannot get this to you by Friday. We only have one developer working on this, and they're also in a different time zone. So these are our options, and I'm just laying it out. And I think a lot of times people try to save face or lie. Like I'm working with a client now in my business, and this client, I'm asking for something for the deadline, and this client is saying like, "Well, I emailed it already to you. Can you please check your spam?" No, you didn't because I check my email constantly. I check spam, I check junk mail, I check the newsletter section, the notification section, because I'm just that detail oriented and I don't want to miss anything. But if you're needing to buy time, tell me that. I can work with that. But I can't work with lies. It's just the same thing with these companies. I can work with the truth and transparency, but when you start lying, you lose that credibility. So yeah.
Why do you think that why do you think what's the psychological reason do you think that people make those decisions? Because my psychologist, which was it was funny, it's funny that I came right back to her because that was what my funny story was. We don't have time for it. But she would tell me like it's easier to live the way that we're talking about versus
To
the
face reality.
psychological.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's so much easier just to be honest. It is. And be nice.
I think a lot of times people cannot stomach the truth. And then and I also think it's a trauma response because if I tell the truth, then I'm gonna get in trouble, or I may lose my job, or I may be punished, you know, instead of just seeing the opposite side of it, like, okay, so this is what it's gonna be.
Was I the only kid that loved Truth or Dare?
Yeah, I never played it that much because I don't want to be dared. Because you tell me a dare, and I probably don't want to do it, but I got to do it because it's a dare.
Okay, episode 11. Prove me wrong, Truth or Dare. I love Truth. If somebody told me I want, anyway, don't get me down a rabbit hole. But I find so much freedom and fun in truth telling that I think that that's what intimidates people about me in particular because there is no topic that is that heavy for me. There's ones that I don't want to talk about because they resonate and I feel true, hurt, or I may not want to talk about them in a lighthearted way, but I may get there. And I'm a very compassionate, like I'm very sentimental, but um there's I'm speaking from somebody who would like steal change out of my mom's coin purse when I was in fourth grade, right? You know, I, yeah, so I haven't lived this, truthful. I would say I spent much of my life lying by omission and faking it till I make it. And there's a lot more, behind that we don't have time for. Um, but the psychological reasons for me, I think you hit upon it was like fear of consequences, right? I may be rejected if I tell them that we're late. I may be punished by my manager. I may, like, if I tell the truth, and this was the case in some of the larger corporations, like everything's going to blow up. had this program manager, like when his watch came off and he started ringing his wrist, we knew that the program manager was about to go, and then the fear of disappointing someone. A lot of that is tied for me. Well, if you're prepared and you're managing up, and we're talking about the workplace scenario, and I'm watching the clock, but I just want to wrap this a few minutes up with, what does that look like in the workplace? How do you recognize it? And I think we already covered that. And then what do we do? So if I see that, if I'm a colleague of Rochelle's and vice versa, and I see that Rochelle is struggling either with the audience or either her material or them together, I take her aside and I fish her out of the alligator swamp. And I say, hey, look, I know this guy, I know this guy, I know this guy, right? Help your people out and learn to manage up and start understanding expectations. And when you're prepared to have a conversation and when you're prepared, then it goes to logic and it's not left for the emotions and we all have qualities of fear and cowardice. Like everybody is human. But if you're ready to fish yourself out of those situations by being prepared and giving everyone, the faith and understanding, good faith and understanding that you did the best that you could to prepare for that situation, and then you can avoid these things and then get out of your head. Uh, and make better decisions so that you can be more transparent and more confident about what you're doing and more informed and having answers ready, because a lot of it is about preparedness. Because at the end of the day, if you prepare and you still act a fool, then you deserve to be fired.
Not still act a fool.
Just being real, because we have 4 minutes left. So so yeah, go out there and don't be afraid. If you feel like you want to lie about something or not tell the truth, or you feel, write it down. And say, why did I feel that way? It's like my psychologist would always tell me, why do you think you felt that way? Well, I was betrayed. Betrayed is not a feeling. Betrayed is something that happens. You know,
Mm.
go get a list of what a feeling is, because I have a feeling that a lot of you people don't know what feelings are. And you're projecting on things that are happening to you, that you tie to betrayal, or you tie to lying, or you tie, and you're making us all pay for the sins of everybody else in your life. And just stop it. Stop the madness. Really, seriously, stop the madness. So I think we've got episode 10 coming up. So I think we're excited to see where we're gonna go with that. I want to play truth or dare really, really bad. Um, So we might be able to get that in, but we're going to try to record another episode. Not sure what's going to be. But yeah, there we go. Don't be a liar. Face up, face in, lean in, whatever the today's quote is. Rochelle, you got anything to leave us with?
No, I do not. I think that was good, Angie.
Go forth and conquer everyone and be honest and truthful and come back and see us for episode 10.